Hi, Jamie Cohen with Cohen and Brosh Law Office. Today I want to talk to you about immigration to the United States. That means getting a green card to the U.S. The most popular form of immigration to the U.S. is through family, especially close family relatives. That can include, for a U.S. citizen, a spouse, minor children, or parents of U.S. citizen children who are at least 21 years of age or older. That means they can file for them directly, and they would be entitled to an immediate green card as long as they just go through the process, which is still somewhat lengthy. It's still about a year and a half process. But that's one of the quickest ways of immigration to the U.S. Also, if you have other relatives that aren't as close as a spouse or minor children, so for instance, if you are a U.S. citizen and you have adult children, or you have siblings, then those individuals can also be applied for a green card to the U.S. For adult children, the wait's going to be somewhat longer. If they're unmarried, it could be about 5 or 6 years. If they're married, up to 10 years. For siblings, the wait is like around 13 or 14 years. So it's a long process, but it's just as well to get their applications in as soon as possible. Also, there's other family categories. So, for instance, if let's say you're not a U.S. citizen, but you are a green card holder in the U.S., you can also apply for some of your relatives. If you are a green card holder, you can apply for your spouse and your children, including adult children. The wait is a little bit longer, but still it gives you the opportunity to apply for a green card for these relatives. Now, most of these cases are filed directly with USCIS in the United States. Again, it's usually a lengthy process. It's quite involved often, and we always recommend using attorneys to be able to assist you in the process of immigration. If the applicant who is applying for the green card is overseas, then once the case is approved by USCIS in the United States, it goes to another government agency called the National Visa Center, where they collect more information from the applicant, and then eventually the case is then transferred to the local U.S. embassy in whatever country the relative lives in. If the applicant is in the United States, then the applicant can just file for adjustment of status for a direct green card. And that is the way they would finish their process, would be completely in the U.S. But family is not the only way you can apply for immigration. You can also apply through various business categories, of which there are several. Now, the first and hardest one is individuals with extraordinary ability. These are like international all-stars. So if you are a very well-known athlete or a musician or even a scientist and you have international recognition, you can actually self-petition. You don't need an employer, and you can apply directly for immigration to the United States. But of course, most people are not in those categories. Others include outstanding businessmen, in which case you will need an employer sponsor. But the most common form of business immigration is known as employment-based 2 and 3 categories. This is where the individual either has a graduate degree from a university or even an undergraduate or even not a college degree, but the employer in the United States must sponsor them and then advertise, in most cases anyway, advertise for the position in the U.S. and make sure that they cannot find someone who is qualified who applies for that position. Otherwise, the applicant would not get it, as the case may be. It's a lengthy process. It's complicated. It takes about 2 years to go through those processes. But this is a common way of business immigration to the U.S. Another is employment-based category 4, which is for religious workers. So if you are a minister or a rabbi, particularly if you're denominationally connected, you can apply directly for immigration to the United States, usually through whatever denomination that's filing for you. Finally, the final business category is employment-based category 5, which are for large investments of money into U.S. businesses. It can range anywhere from $800,000 to $1.05 million, depending on where it's being invested. And there's 2 ways of investing into these kinds of companies. It can be a direct investment into a company. Let's say it's somebody that you know, or even your own company. You invest this amount of money into the company. But the key is that you must prove by a very sophisticated business plan that there's going to be at least 10 U.S. workers hired over the next 2 years. So again, it's quite a challenge and a difficult process, very expensive, but it is a way to get in to get a green card. The other option is you invest into what are known as regional centers, which exist all over the United States. These are big development projects. So it could be like a shopping center or a hotel or something of that nature, where you're just one of many investors. It's a passive investment, so to speak, but you put your money in and you wait. And in either category, the waiting process for these visas are now over several years, so it's quite a challenge for those people who want to go that route for an investment process. The last category of immigration to the United States is what is known as the diversity visa, or the visa lottery. Many of you may have heard of it. Once a year, usually in October or November, people from all over the world can apply for free in what is known as a green card lottery. About 50,000 visas are made available to people all over the world, and the only requirement is that you have at least a high school education, or you're working in a vocational occupation with at least 2 years of experience. So those are the various ways to immigrate to the United States. If you're interested, please contact us at Cohen and Brosh Law Office. We've handled all of these types of visas and more. You can contact us today through the website below to get you started towards a green card that will be available to you. Thank you, and see you next time.